Yeah, babies. What's going on, everyone? How y'all doing today? This is the Ono Live Coffee and Cigars number 98, and it is, June 16th, 2022. We're here, broadcasting to you live, as always, from Cockeysville, Maryland, this beautiful, lovely suburb in north of Baltimore City. And we're back again. How y'all doing tonight? What are you guys up to? Let me know in the comments down below. We're got another show for you tonight. So tonight we're going to be doing a little more coffee breaks because it's summertime. We've got some more iced coffee to brew, a little bit different, but a little bit the same. There's not too many ways to do it. And then we've got our Gran Habano Corojo number 5 that's coming up today as well. So we're going to be smoking that and talking about things and whatever you want to talk about and whatever you want to talk and do. Let me know. Drop in the comments below. I'm happy to know. Oh, the sound is jacked. Okay, so tell me, is it too hot? Too low? Is it out of sync? Let me know. Okay, you can reverb. That's something that I think is just a matter. Okay, Rusty says he has. Oh, now there's a buzzing. Okay, there's a buzzing. Is there a buzzing? Let me check on something. Okay, so I'm going to presume that this buzzing that you're getting I guess you're cleaning up the note. Sound is tinny and terrible. All right, let's see. Has that changed anything? Reverb, more reverb, buzzing. So okay, let's see here. So did one of the things that I think that is plaguing this setup here. Okay, so that did not change anything. All right. What's going on, Mom? How are you doing tonight? We got a little bit of technical issues we've got to work out here. So it's tinny. Okay, hang on again. Okay, so did that? Whoa, that's looks like it's way hot. How did that change the situation? Did it change the situation? All right, so what happened is I took the, since last week, I reconfigured the setup here because I'm leaving, does that sound better? Too hot, too cold? Where are we now with the sound? Is that working out? This should be the same configuration as last week for the sound part of it. Let me know how it sounds. If we're on the money or if we're not, then let me know. Okay, so too hot. Okay, just a moment. All right. How about that? Did that help the situation? Yeah. Okay. Are we good? Are we good? Okay, great. Okay, so here we are again. Sorry about that. I rearranged the actual setup here in the studio because I'm leaving on Monday, and I wanted to get it all set up so that I could leave pretty much everything set up, or most of it set up, so that when I come back after next week's show from Sao Paulo, everything be ready for the 2nd, right? So remember, July 2nd, Saturday, we're having our 100th episode. We're going to have an epic live stream starting at 6 p.m., going until whatever time. And we got a lot of people coming out, so it's going to be a good time. Oh, Young Ma, what's going on, man? How are you? Good to see you. Yeah, so I did change the lighting. I changed the lighting so it's a lot more spread out and more even, so that it's actually set up in a way that it's like, if you remember when we had Cirillo on the show, it was kind of this 2-person deal. I've got it set up for 3 people. I just don't have the cameras showing it because, well, they'd just be empty. But we've got that set up, and so hopefully that should be all ready to go. And it'll just cut down the time when I cut back to like get everything ready. But so we're going to start at about 6 p.m. on Sunday. We're going to have a great group of people, I think, coming down. It's going to be real nice. Some food, drink. We got some cigar swag giveaways, cigars. Some of our other guests who've come on, like Michael King from Aganorsa and 1502 Cigars. He might come down to join us. And I told Walt to come down as well. And I don't know if you guys know Lisa from Gran Habano, but I messaged her and I said, hey, if you're in town and you're not away and you have time, come on down and join us. It's really meant to be more of a casual thing, not an industry thing. So we're going to have some interesting stuff, I think. All right, you're going to come down. Excellent. Young Ma's going to come down and hang out with us on that day. It'll be a good time, man. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to having everybody here. All right, so let's get right to it because we had all this problem. So today we're going to brew some more coffee, as always, as is the name of the show. So we've got I just took the regular blend coffee, the espresso blend today, and I decided that I wanted to use this brewer. This is a very, hang on. All right, had to make some changes again because everything's a little bit discombobulated. So here we are. We're going to go to this one. So this is the brewer, and I don't even know what the name is, but it's this kind of glass-shaped brewer that has this mesh filter, this stainless steel mesh. While it looks really fine, it's actually not too fine, meaning that it's pretty fast-flowing. So I had to make the coffee pretty finely ground in order to compensate for that. Oh, yeah. So again, we're going to be doing this cold brew style where I'm going to take the ice and I'm going to brew the coffee over the ice, right? So we're using about half the volume of the coffee, half of the volume of the water is being replaced by ice. And George is here. No. And George wants to know, are we using secondhand gear? Well, all of it's secondhand gear around here. Yeah, it's a little bit dirty. Well, it's not a little bit dirty. It's just been a lot used. And we're going to start the brewing part of it. So one of the other things, when you come down on the 2nd of July, we'll have all this brewing apparatus and a lot of coffee. So if you want to play around with some coffees and try some different brewing methods. We'll have those available. And then our 2015 AeroPress champion of the United States will be here as well. So Rusty can answer all of your AeroPress questions. Oh, we're really going fast. All right. So we're just gonna go and like brew it down. As you can see, there's very little resistance provided by the filtration. The filtration, it just kind of flows through. This is kind of one of the issues that I think with this particular brewer. This is it's a brewer I think you get from Espresso Parts, and it's not bad. It's just strange in this manner in that it just flows really fast. Yeah. I had put some ice in it and we should try to clean the carafes while they're here. So, you know. So we're going to tilt it just to get a little bit excess out. This is one of those moments when it's like, oh yeah, I didn't bring something to put this in. We're going to get our little tall glass here. Now, this coffee brewed really, really fast. So I think that I'm expecting that it's going to be relatively on the brighter side. You can see here, oh yeah, you can kind of see that right there. It has a rather tea-like quality to the color. And a pretty tea-like consistency. Like it's definitely on the lighter side of the brewing sphere. But bright and kind of crispy. That could be nice. That could be nice for the cigar smoking. Or really more nice because it's been so hot. Like here it's blazing. And George says, yes, the bad. Oh, yes, we will have mad scientists of brewing. Anything you all want. And Tony's got here, what's he got here? The Letelier ER15 Lonsdale with the Diet Cherry Pepsi. And another thing that's different, like if you see, I'm actually turning my head more this way to your right, to screen right. Man, because I moved the monitor here, and I think I hate it here. I think I need to move it back down in front of the camera. Smoking at Epcot and sipping on some Bernheim wheated whiskey. Oh, excellent. Epcot? Oh, thank you. Diet Pepsi. Oh, nice. Good. Oh, there's George. What's going on? Back from COVID last week. Oh, man, how are you feeling? You're doing all right with that? Was it pretty severe or... Are you doing all right? The El Trenfador Lancero, nice. And then, the experimental prototypical cigar of tomorrow. Yeah, nice. All right. Yeah, this is actually not fun. Like, I have to turn pretty far. Like, even when we were at the other studio, it was never this far, like, of a turn. All right, just for tonight. We're going to make some changes. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so George's COVID was mild, good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear you're all right. Let's get our score sheet. So tonight's cigar, we're going to get into that now. There's, of course, as always, I picked it up at Tobacco Leaf from Rahul, who's celebrating their, 40th anniversary on June 30th, Thursday. So if you have the chance, you might want to check it out. Seems like it'll be a lot of fun. All right, so we've got our Corojo number 5. This is the Gran Toro, I think, or what it's called. I don't know. So it's got this. I don't know. Would this be called a shaggy foot? Because it's not just a little bit of shaggy. It's a lot. There's a lot that's open, You can kind of see it right here, right? But it's got nice chocolatey color to it. A little bit of that nutmeggy spice, a little bit of peppers. Nice, nice. Let's say more in the chocolate sphere. Oh, you like the setup? All right, all right. Yeah, we're pumping up the color here. So initially looks good, seems interesting, and all right, let's do some cutting. We're gonna do some cutting now. I'm gonna go do some cutting. I'm gonna give it a nice, sounding a little bit brittle. It doesn't feel brittle, but that cut had a little bit of crackling. A little bit of extra pieces. The draw is smooth. The cold draw has some suggestion of spices. All right, all right. Time to get to the lighting. And George says, yes, that is a shaggy foot. Okay, great, great. Young man wants to know, you guys, I think they just go as George. It's only here there's a little bit of confusion. Yeah, Gran Habano sticks, I agree. They're always nice. I mean, George Rico seems to be doing a really, nice, consistent job. Well, Brian, it's interesting you say that, because I think that's been one of George's most difficult struggles over the last, I guess maybe 10 years or so. It's something that I was talking about with some friends, and even the reps for Gran Habano a couple of years ago. We were talking about how, George I think he makes very nice cigars. Like, a lot of the cigars I've had were very, very nice. Where he was trying to grow his brand, and so he started selling a lot of cigars to the online retailers, the bigger ones, and they started selling them at a discount. So while he's trying to grow and grab more market share, it put his brand in a position where it was being discounted. So I think I heard he had lost a lot of retail presence, B&M presence, because of that. And I think nowadays they've been working on this information is now like at least 3 years old, because I think that was the last time I went to the PCA. But it's one of those things where now they've been trying to reintroduce their brand, or not reintroduce, but trying to build the trust in the brand again. But me personally, I thought the cigars have always been very good. But I think that's a great thing to point out. I think that's really what you're asking here. I think they did end up selling a lot of those cigars through CI and places like that. And so that really kind of put a hurt on their brand. George Juan, excellent. Maybe George Juan, like Obi-Wan, George Juan. Is there an Obi-2? Maybe there's Obi-2. And it looks like Tony has been wielding his nefarious influence on people with the Wild Cherry Pepsi Zero and a Tatuai Copper Special. Rusty, is it pretty warm up there where you are? Here it's kind of humid and hot. Like in the mornings here, it's been nice, like 8, 6, 7, 8 in the morning. It's been nice. But when I get to the point of like 10, it's like starts to get pretty heavily blazing up here. GB and G. Yeah, I think it's worth giving it, at least giving it a try again, just to see. All right, so let's do some lighting here. This shaggy foot is pretty wide. This is, if in case you're wondering, this is the jet line. I call it the phaser because it looks like a phaser from Star Trek, the original series. The ones they're using in Strange New Worlds are different looking. See, here it looks like it's getting a little bit like loose on the shaggy foot. Which makes you feel like it's not quite lit. It's got nice smoke production. No, that's starting off very nice, very nice. Oh, it's been overcast in Jersey. Okay, good, good. And Tony says the Black Dahlia, blue and green, and tonight's Maduro are all solids. Yeah, I think that Black Dahlia we had some nice things to say about when we had on the show in the past. And George says typically it's a bogus claim that brands are somehow less attractive due to their online retailers. Rocky CEO, Drew Estate all feature largely on the main internet sites. Yeah, I wonder, like, do a lot of retailers, like when you talk about Rocky, CAO, Drew, they're very popular brands, very well known. I wouldn't say that brands like Gran Habano are as big and popular as, let's say, Drew Estate, right? And I wonder, like, do a lot of the brick and mortar retailers, do they shy away from offering them because they're, online? And I don't necessarily think that it's a matter of that the quality of the cigar is poor. It's just a matter of like, I think it's a turnoff for. I imagine it'd be a turnoff for retailers that are like, well, if I bought the Gran Habano, and that's not to say this is how it happened. Let's say if I bought this cigar from the manufacturer, it costs me, the same amount or more for me to buy it than if I was to buy it as an individual on someplace like CI. I think that's where there can be some disconnect between the brick and mortar retailers and the manufacturer that chooses to go in that route. He's no slouch. He's sharp. Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I've met and known George a little bit for a while now, and I always like his work. I always respect him. Always like his stuff. Him and I get along well, so he likes coffee. Shaggy foot usually expands on lighting, sets off some sparks, but then settles down. Yeah, no sparks this time, luckily. Yeah, I agree. I think that, Brian, you'll enjoy some of these cigars. Like, this is starting off very pleasant. Nice flavor, good body. Evidently, according to their website, let me pull this up here. This, why does it go away? It goes away after a bit. Here we go. So as you can see, it says here, somewhere it says it. This is their strongest blend in the Gran Habano profile. Filler consists of Nicaraguan and Costa Rican longleaf tobacco with a Habano binder, all held together by a noticeably dark, flawless sun-grown Nicaraguan Maduro wrapper, producing rich, full-body flavors of dark chocolate and hints of spice. And I think it's starting off very well. I was really turned on to Gran Habano and George Rico because my group of friends from Hawaii, the cigar guys there, they're very much into the Gran Habano. And so I met George through those guys several years ago. And I've smoked across the range of his cigars. Like there's one that I think is actually, the sad thing is I haven't thought about it until just this moment. But there's this cigar that he makes. Which one is it? Let's look here. Not the GAR, not the GR. Each one of these. No, not those. He had a line of cigars. Maybe he doesn't have it as his normal. Like I've had the Zulu. I've had a lot of these. Maybe it's Gran Reserva. No, he had one. He had a cigar several years ago that the Zulus are nice. I've not had the Persian King. I wonder if there's more in the online catalog. Let's see. I can't figure it out. But I have had some. He had a limited edition, and then he had these box press that were really nice. And anyway, that's neither here nor there now. Oh, what's up, Mark? Yeah, man, there was some heavy duty thunder this morning. My goodness, I couldn't. I was pretty. It was pretty loud here at the roastery. I had the doors open, and so it was all like, oh. Okay, Tori's going to bring some samples. Excellent. The double standard. I'm not sure if I'm following the double standard. The price differential. Oh yeah, I can see that. I mean, it's tough. I mean, I get it. As a retailer, I understand that idea that if my wholesale price is the same or more than the discounter online price, that's a tough sell. And I think that I've heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard they've made more moves to protect that more. I think. I don't know. Knock off the party. Well, obviously, if you look at the band, it's very much a Series D number 4 band. And look, it's got the Series D number 4 band style of band, and then the limited edition. I thought maybe I haven't. What I haven't really seen is anyone kind of like mimicking the country exclusive. The red with the white and the little like diamonds, the rows of diamonds. Or maybe I just haven't seen that, or just haven't paid attention. And Tony says, and look at the number of sizes that cigar comes. Yeah. I mean, George does make a wide range of cigars for a lot of people, and I think that's a great thing. And George Juan wants to know why the 70 ring gauge. Well, again, I guess he's making cigars for all people, and somebody out there wants to have that 70. Interesting. Responded to banning piracy. I mean, I gotta say, some of the styles, like this one, the Series D number 4. I mean, I think I think the Series D number 4, like this one is, when you look at a Series D number 4 Habano wrapper, it's a lot more matte finish. Like this is glossy and it's all like pretty and like golden glistening. The Partaga Series D number 4 that I have don't have this kind of shininess, so it's a little bit more polished here. in the United States. And Mark says he likes to wake up to thunder. It makes him feel, one of the best memories I have is like when I had already moved away from Honolulu, and I used to go back to visit fairly regularly, at least once a year. And my cousin moved in to a house with a couple of roommates who are both doctors, great guys. We all are great friends still to this day. But they had this U-shaped house, right, with a wraparound deck on the inside of the U, and they had a futon there on the deck. And I would usually be there like in the wintertime, so the weather's always very pleasant, like very, very nice weather. But man, I would sleep out there, and I would be there for like a month. It was kind of crazy, but I would sleep out there on this futon, this guest futon, and it was covered, but on the deck and outside. And what a delicious way to sleep! And then there'd be times when it would rain. Now it was designed so that there's a courtyard and there's a deck, right? But it was covered and open on the one side, so it wasn't open in the center. But man, because there were some chairs in the center, we'd sit down, have cigars there, or whatever. And but man, sleeping in that rain, wow, that was epic. That was some epic times. Epic times. So he says, I'm interested in a Conquista. Hasn't tried it yet. Okay, good. We'll give that a try. That's the coach's favorite cigar, but he's 66 right now. I'm not a 70. Oh. Yeah, the Edition Regional. I like some of them. I've had some good ones. They were okay. Actually, the last one that I had was a little bit problematic. It was one from Gran Bretagne. I was in London several years ago. Went to Fox. Had a cigar, $55. It was the equivalent. Maybe it's 55 euros. It was 55 quid. I think it was 35 quid, $55. And it was a little bit plugged, but they replaced it, which is really nice. But that was the last one that I think I've had that was oh yeah, very much so. It's one of those things that's kind of this visceral kind of, you're kind of enjoying the design, and some of them get very, very elaborate and ornate, and really and some of them are epic, Michelangelo kind of things that wrap around your cigar, or then some like the Zulu will extend I'll show you, where's that Zulu thing. That's a little bit crazy. Yeah, here it is. The Zulu, as you can see, wraps completely around and all the entire length. So you have to remove that in order to before you can smoke it. This one you can. Now there are people that say, some of these older school guys talk about the etiquette and how some of them feel that you should remove the band prior to smoking, so that you're not hurting the feelings of those who are not able to afford the level of cigar that you're smoking. But the real question is but the thing is, how do you show the world that you're a baller if you don't leave the band on? Not that you wield it as a weapon, but it's kind of nice when you have a nice cigar and someone's like, oh, you're smoking that? Yeah, but thank you. So it's starting off nicely. The smoke is good. It started off with some really good spicy notes, but at this point it's kind of mellow. Not mellowed, but that the unique, distinct spiciness is kind of becoming at one on the palate. It's not as discernible now. The palate is getting used to it. Maybe the palate is getting a little bit dulled, a little bit bored. but it's a lot of cigar to smoke. Like this would be, it's got good power to it, like a good body, good strength. It says it's their most powerful cigar. And when people say they have powerful cigars, right? I tend to think that like, oh, is it going to be like a Neanderthal? Because that's some heavy duty weight. It's not, I don't think it's to that level. Like, or like the LFD, you know, the double ligeros, those tend to have more power. I think the Crow number 5 put the cigar on the map. And selling the live that heard somebody was coming, Dominican Cuba for all from Cuba. Really? People say that? That's kind of funny. That's kind of funny. Oh, that's for sure. Lots of disinformation. Oh, speaking of information, that kind of reminds me. Like, did you see this week's report? They were talking about how this Google employee was fired because he evidently made a report that their AI had become sentient. And you know, I don't really understand humans and people in this way. Like, we have had in my lifetime, our lifetimes, we've had plenty of examples why we should not have AI. Terminator, 2001: A Space Odyssey. You know, most every movie like that, right? Battlestar Galactica, right? You give the machine the chance and it becomes sentient, then what? And then we've got Boston Dynamics making these robots that are supposed to become super soldiers. And of course, the AI that's becoming sentient is Google's, that's well connected across the internet. That's, of course, going to be plugged in somehow with AWS, Amazon Web Services. So once if the AI was to gain true sentience, what's to stop it from doing anything? Like it's really like Ultron, right? Like it's connected. I think this augurs not good times. Plus, then there's the whole United States government that's like, okay, here's all the videos now you can see of our gun cameras on our aircraft that show these vehicles that we have no idea who they are or what they are. They're flying at like incredible rates that we can't match. So, you know, and then there's the Chinese with their big, their big telescope. That's like, oh, we think we hear alien species. Oh, good Lord. It's all coming together. It's all coming together. Maybe these aircraft, right, these unidentified UFOs that are playing around with our air military fighters, maybe they're here just watching us, right? They're just seeing. And once they see that AI has gained sentience, then maybe they'll determine that we become a threat to their existence, and then they'll come and attack us, like an Independence Day. These are my theories. What do you think? Rusty says, leave the bands on. He's proud of his black. He's proud of his black and mild. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. And George says the expression is banda de puro, pendejo segura. Banda de puro, band of the pure, pendejo segura. Oh, secure the. And George Juan says that's a load of crap. It's not about the cigar you smoke. It's the one you enjoy. If someone's feelings are hurt by me smoking a $20 cigar, then I kind of agree with you. But, you know, it's interesting. Here's the thing that I've noticed, you know, smoking cigars in different parts of the world as I travel. Like, cigar smoking in the United States is truly I think it's truly unique and really interesting in that we've had a lot of people in America that are like, oh, they're like so into Cubans. They're so, of course, because we can't get them. So that fuels it, right? But we've got such a wonderful selection of cigars in American cigar scene that, I don't necessarily miss Cubans when I don't have them. And I don't really feel the need that I need to find them. Like if you watch, sometimes I watch Kirby Allison, that guy on YouTube, right? Who I do enjoy a lot of his videos, and especially about the sartorial stuff. But he goes on cigars and he's like, evidently he only smokes Cubans. I'm like, why would you only smoke Cubans? You're in Dallas, Texas. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, but here's the thing. So, and this is what I mean by when I say I think American cigar smoking is very unique and very interesting, is that it's very much inclusive, right? And we all know that you can go to a cigar shop and hang out with people of all different strata, from people that are working class to very wealthy people. When you're smoking cigars outside of the United States in many different countries, I gotta dash that out. It's not like that. It's very much wealthier, upper class people that are smoking cigars. The regular people in most society can't afford it. Like that cigar that I got in London, right, at Fox. Granted, it was a country exclusive, but it was $55. Or maybe it was 55 quid. Whatever it was pricey. Like, enough that I was like, oh, maybe I should pause about that. So most places that I go, and most places that I travel to, I will go out and find a cigar lounge and hang out, have a cigar and meet people. But most everywhere that I go, everyone that I meet is pretty well-to-do for that nation. So we have a really unique thing here in America where everybody gets to smoke. I know I thought about that. I thought about that, with your comment there, George. And George Brightman says, you don't have to worry about leaving the band on your B&M. Since when people smell it, you'll be... Nice. It's always good to breed share. That's always good. The Matrix. Oh, yeah, the Matrix. That's a good point. I think Skynet is here. Like, AWS could be Skynet, right? Like it's all encompassing. Everyone's connected to it. You can't escape it. And so just like in the Terminator with Claire Danes, when the father turns on the Skynet itself and it becomes aware, oh, man, bad. I think it could be bad times ahead. What do I think? Maybe strong is a relative term for that cigar. I mean, are you any of you smoking this tonight? Because I think that it's got strength. It's got some, it's like now that, okay, so like I said a few moments ago, it was, maybe the palate was getting on board. Now it's starting to come back a little bit lifey, meaning that we're getting a little more black pepper starting to come out again. But it has good strength. And I don't mean, when I say that it's not as strong as Neanderthal, I don't mean that as a pejorative thing. That's actually a positive thing. Like sometimes those aromas, the Neanderthal, just are a bit too much. Like for me, they're a little bit, sometimes it's a little bit too much. Like I can't, I don't always want to get punched in the face with my cigar, Maybe I'm not always prepared for Manbaco. George says, Kirby Allison. Yeah, Kirby's he's an interesting cat. Like sometimes I see his videos, I'm like, oh gosh. But then sometimes I do enjoy what he has to say. You know who I really like is that guy who, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's this channel on YouTube called Executive Shave. I think it's called Executive Shave. Irish guy. in Ireland, and he's got this business where he sells shaving stuff. And he's this older gentleman, not too old, but maybe like 60, right? Looks pretty fit, close crop, gray hair. Looks good, man. He looks good. He's like fit, looking good, and he's talking about shaving. And I'm like, interesting. I just find it interesting. Strong by comparison to the rest. Yeah, that's true. That's what he was saying in the website. But it's smoking very well. Like it's very even. The burn, the draw, smooth, just the right amount of resistance. I mean, there's very little to complain about. Overall, it's a very enjoyable cigar. And you know what? I forgot to check the price before I got on here. We'll have to look at the... Brian had the Roma Craft Knuckle Dragger last night, gave me the hiccups. All I could do to finish it. So, you know when a cigar gives you the hiccups, that's some pretty strong cigar. Like, I don't even know if they, like, people always talk, and I said it earlier, right? The LFD Double Ligero. And to be honest, it's been a long time since I've smoked one of those. But I don't recall it being that strong, like that heavy. Like I can think a number of occasions the Neanderthal being very heavy. That one Craft 2018, man, super heavy. But the Double Ligero, I haven't, but then again, it's been a long time, so I can't really say. Oh, yeah. So, very much so, like you can get this feeling of high that can move into illness, like you feel ill. Like one of the very first times I had this was years ago. One of my friends was the manager of this one cigar shop. We were all friends, right? A whole group of us. And he's like, let's all go out to dinner. So we all went out to the steak dinner. I was still living in Honolulu. And this is early in my years of smoking. Maybe I'd smoked for 1 or 2 years by this point. And we go to this dinner, steak dinner, massive dinner. Like it was just like, you're stuffed and you're ready for a cigar. And so my friend James Holman, he actually lives in Arizona now. He had a box of these not Ramon Alones, Sancho Panza. There's the Sancho Panza Corona Gigante. Big cigar, right? Long cigar, nice size, maybe 48 or so, but long, like 7 inches. We smoked this day, right? We smoked this, and I was ready. I ate a lot, right? I ate a lot, so I was like, I'm ready. Smoking this cigar, smoking. Man, I had to go home. I had to take a dump. I might have puked. Who knows? I was just so ill. I just had to go to bed. It was like terrible. So every once in a while, when you ingest the nicotine or whatever it is, I think George Brighton would know better what it is chemically. Yeah, you can get high, get that high feeling, but you can get ill. Like I've been ill a few times. George Shem says, I didn't find any aromas as strong as the LFDs. Oh, okay. Like I said, I haven't had them in a long time, so I can't be 100% sure, but I just going off what I think. I've been talking so much, smoking so much, I haven't really drank so much. It's nice. The nice thing with the espresso, it's got this deeper, we go with a little bit deeper roasting, right? So we go to what we call a City Plus roasting. So it really brings out a lot more sweetness, a lot more sugar development, a lot more mild reaction, especially when you compare it to a lot of other coffees that are lightly roasted, right? So even though the drink itself is brewed lighter, meaning that there's probably a lower TDS, meaning total dissolved solids of coffee in the water, it still has a good amount of oomph and body and bitterness to come through. A little bit of that dark chocolate still comes through and matches very nicely. George says the Double Hair was really powerful first release, but now not only they dialed back, but the rest of the market. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Well, that makes a good point. Because I do, I think about 90s into the 2000s, definitely cigars were much milder. Or not as, they didn't have that heavy punchiness. And Tony's asking for the 100th. Are the festivities starting at 4? Yes. Pretty much people will come at 4. I mean, I'll probably be here by noon, so come down whenever, but 4. That way, if people are here by 4, then there's time to just hang out and chat and whatever, smoke, and then the live stream starts at 6, and we probably have enough people here. We have plenty of space to lounge around and smoke and enjoy yourself. So, yeah, that's good. That's a good thing. And George says that Rafael Gonzalez also made super strong, like the Sancho back in the day, but nowadays there would be yeah. I had a Sancho Panza. I don't believe they make the Corona Gigante anymore. But I had a Sancho Panza several years back, but more recently, and it didn't have that hit, or maybe it was the same hit, and I'm used to now more stronger cigars. That could be too. Yeah, 2 p.m. Come down at 2. I will be here. So, you come whenever you want. You want to come earlier? That's fine too. 10 a.m., we're here too. I'm pretty much here most of the time anyway. And Tony says he thought the Lido Gomez 10 was much stronger than Double A Hair. Oh, I haven't tried that yet. And Rusty will be in the lawn chair in the park. Tony says he smoked a PT Corona. My head was spinning. Of the 10, I imagine, yes? Yes, we're kick-ass straight out of those chests. Wait, did I try a 10? No, I don't think so. And George wants to say we're going to need some plenty of time to burn and practice. Absolutely. We will have plenty of time for that. Yeah, come on down. We got some nice stuff, I think, going to be happening on that day. So we're still rolling. Look at that. It's a long cigar. Like this is... There's at least a whole Robusto. We got a whole Robusto here to go. Oh, they just came years after. Yeah. Yeah, the ash is dark gray. So that what means that there's not as much magnesium in the ground. Is that it? Just something that I was thinking about now, and I'm looking at it here, right? If you look here down the center, the color is the same. So just when I thought about this magnesium comment, the wrappers, I think, they're all from different farms, different plots on each farm, so different mineral content. And I never thought about now to look at the other ones in the past, but when you look at the ash, do they normally match from the exterior to the interior? Question. That's a question. Ah, okay. Oh, okay. Okay, good. So let's see. What are the dimensions? Let's look. Well, we have a moment. Let's go look at one of the reviews. This one is from Catman Cone. This is from 2015. So God knows it's a completely different cigar by this point. And this is a little bit different. This is the Gran Robusto. So 6x54. This has got to be like 7x52, maybe. All right, let's go to another one. Is it Gran Robusto? I guess it's a Gran Robusto. I think it's a 7. This is Kevin. Because it's 6 now, right? Let's see here. Oh, Gran Toro. Here we go. 6x54. Well, at least 6x54. This can't be 6. This was long. 2016. These are all older. I mean, this cigar's been out for quite a while, so. Eight out of 10. I don't know. We'll go by 6x54. I mean, 7x54. It's long. Yeah, George says 7x54. We'll go with that. Bigger than a bread box, smaller than an 18-wheeler. Ah, nice. Yeah, it's a long smoking cigar. So I mean, if you want to have one cigar that's going to last a while, it's not bad. Good point, Brian. Good point. The ones I'm looking at didn't have a shaggy foot. Maybe the shaggy foot is only on the Gran Toro. Oh, yeah, you're right. Look at that. This Gran Toro, oops, does not have a shaggy foot. You're right. Like right here, no shaggy foot. Don't worry, they make a 6x44. That's very good. Okay, good. This is probably one of those ones that when they say, I'm going to have one more cigar, and you want it to last as long as you can, this is the one to get. All right, we're knocking more out. All right, so we're going to get into the scoring here. Fragrance cold draw, I mean, I have to say, I want to say 7.5. Good plus, right? Flavor of the first third, I think 7.5. The body, to me, the body's, I guess I feel like it should be on the heavier side. Like I don't necessarily feel that it's heavy, but maybe pushing towards heavy. Maybe we'll do an 8 for that. Okay. Maybe a 46 instead of that 44. Yeah, 44 would be pretty thin. And George talks about that. Remember the grapes or the shaggy foot? Love those sticks. My wallet. Yeah, they were very expensive. It's interesting. I was in Nassau in 2019. I was on the Disney cruise. And so we stopped off at Nassau. So while I was in Nassau, I went to Great Cliff. And I don't know what their deal is. Like, do they make it there in Nassau at that place? I mean, it looked like they had I think it was set up as a factory, but there was hardly anyone there, and they had hardly any inventory. So I don't know if they're making cigars elsewhere in the world or there, but they had hardly any rollers, hardly any inventory, and I was like, this is just bizarre. Like Nassau, it was just bizarre. for all that I kept hearing about Nassau, it was kind of a pit. Like, not terribly nice. Like, I went to the Ocean Club, the place where James Bond went. I went there for lunch. Very nice. But outside of that, there wasn't too much that was nice. I know a lot of people, when they go to Nassau, they want to go to the big place, Atlantis. I didn't care about that. James Bond didn't go to Atlantis. James Bond went to the Ocean Club. So I went to the Ocean Club too. Yeah, they had a factory. It was interesting. It was interesting. Yeah, for sure. I guess they definitely felt like I bought a couple cigars, I think, when I was there. I wasn't blown away by it. And I remember hearing stories of people going to Nassau, to Grey Cliff, and they were kind of like, or maybe there was at Atlantis they were talking about. Maybe it's in Atlantis, they have a cigar lounge or something was really difficult to get into. But the factory itself, or the hotel, wasn't very difficult to do anything at all. I wonder if that's a good thing or bad thing. Like, you used to make your own. Now someone else makes it for you. Speaking of which, I heard that the cigar industry talk that I've heard today was that Matt Booth of Room 101 has sold the company to one of the bigger companies. I don't know if it's General or Tadas or whatever. So some people are upset. Some people are happy. Back in the day when Avelino used to roll in the lobby of the restaurant, it was banging. Well, I bet. I mean, the hotel, we were at the hotel in the lobby. There's a restaurant there as well. And you can walk through it. And it's a rather large compound. It's quite interesting. But it's very, like, old. Like, there's a lot of old furniture. Like, maybe like 30 years ago, it was pretty awesome. Like, I can imagine it being, like, really super awesome. In 2019, it just kind of looked run down, like, a little bit pathetic for what it might have been. A little bit of shame. I was a little bit sad. But I ended up wandering around the city, maybe through some unsavory areas. I don't know, but we're just wandering through the city. I think even I had my mom with me and my dad. I don't know why I'm wandering through rough parts of the city with them. That was probably strange. But we did find a nice, like, restaurant for seafood, conch, and a bunch of other stuff. And that was really, local type of food. That was really nice. I enjoyed that. Oh, okay, STG is the one that bought them. I went to, when I was in Copenhagen a couple years ago, in 2019, I did go to STG's. They had a, what was it? Casa Monte Cristo or something. Maybe it wasn't Casa Monte Cristo, but they had their own, like, branded, like, lounge cigar shop. That's actually really nice, really, really, like, old school. I imagine it was somebody's shop that they had taken over, but really nice, really pretty. I'm still trying to find a nice place to go in Sao Paulo. Nobody that I know seems to know anyone or anything about cigars in Sao Paulo. Even some Brazilians that I know, they don't know anything about them. Can I just smoke outside? Is that all right? Can I smoke at the hotel? Really, I'm just looking for a place so that we can continue next week's show. So here's one criticism of this cigar that I'm having, because it is quite long. It's very consistent. Like, the flavor has been quite consistent the entire time, even down to now, right? But what it hasn't been, it's not being very dynamic. Like, I'm not really feeling like I'm not really taking on a journey. Like I'm not. I think the palate's getting a little bit tired. Yes, Club Macanudo. That's what it was. It's right in downtown of Copenhagen, which is very expensive. The whole city very expensive. Like when I went there for the first time in 2008, I was like, "Oh, this place is very expensive." I didn't enjoy myself. When again, it's still very expensive. I enjoyed myself a little bit better. This time I was able to they had the Lime scooters. So I just rented Lime scooters to take me all across the city. I was like, that was kind of fun. Kind of dangerous, probably. Like, fat guys should not be riding a Lime scooter in the middle of a city that they could, fall off and crush themselves on. You should ask Scott from Guy. I'll have to ask. It was Guy a cigar smoker? Great place to buy unlimited fake Cubans. Excellent. As long as they smoke well, that's fine. And Nassau used to be home of pirates like Blackbeard in the back in the day. Apparently, prostitution ran rapid. I'm sure it's changed. Well, I didn't see any prostitutes running around rapidly. So it probably has changed a little bit in that respect. And Bud says he thinks so. Okay, good. Well, put me in touch with him. I'd love to talk to him. George 1. Great Cliff was actually built on the bones of the old fort that guarded the harbor. Oh. Oh, the wine cellars. Oh, interesting. I did walk around those. That's interesting. I didn't realize that. Perhaps the Robusto would be the better way to go. I don't know if you guys seen that. There's a new show, Miss Marvel. I watched the first episode. Cute. Interesting. Spoiler alert, Pakistani girl gets a bracelet and becomes a superhero. That's essentially what happened in the first episode. It's a lot more happened, but really that's the gist of it. It's like, okay, she has to answer to her parents. I get that. Actually, I can appreciate her plight, the whole parents and respect and cultural issues. Oh, Black Sails. The guys were I think Tony and Bud and those guys were watching that when it was coming out, when it first came out. I'm taking the band off. It's getting close. George says, Mr. Marvel is a children's show. Well, I watched Star Trek Prodigy, and I enjoyed that too. When it comes to these, I'll watch any of them. I'm all right with that. Star Trek, Marvel, I'll check them out. Actually, I realized I was looking at some listings. There's a lot of Marvel series that I haven't seen. Actually, there's too many to try to go back and watch them. So what I've missed, I'm just gonna miss out on them. Oh, I did watch the new Obi-Wan. And Brian says, Miss Marvel is Muslim, correct? Yes. So she's Pakistani, which is Muslim, right? And they're Muslim. The Muslim part isn't very, at least in the first episode, it's not very heavy. I'm sure there's some people out there that will think that it's very in-your-face Muslim, but as someone that has Muslim friends and has been in Muslim countries, it's not it's just kind of salam. Salam alaikum. Similar like that, right? So there's not. And Tony thought that the prostitute in Black Sails was smoking hot. There you go. That's why you should go to Nassau. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then I saw the most recent episode of Obi-Wan. We're now to the 5th episode. There's only one more now. And should be interesting. Should be interesting. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but last week I was a bit critical on it. Like they did make a surprise. Like I was surprised when that thing happened. I was like, oh, I didn't expect that to happen in the 5th episode. Although I don't know when Obi-Wan actually comes out. So does it come out Wednesdays or before that, or does it come out on Thursdays? So does that mean that the 5th episode is this week's episode and next week is the last one, or is this the last one? Is the 6th one coming out this week? Yeah, up to episode 4, I was, like I said last week, I think we talked about this, is that to me, not too like last week I was thinking there can't be too much surprises because Obi-Wan is in A New Hope. Darth Vader is in A New Hope. Nothing can happen. Nothing monumental is gonna happen. Like they're gonna be there. And when I mean monumental be like something dramatic happens to Obi-Wan. So I was talking, maybe it wasn't with you guys, maybe it was in person with some people. They were talking about how this is Obi-Wan's return to Jedi power. Like he had been, for the last 10 years, he'd been hiding out on Tatooine, watching over Luke and just kind of hiding out and losing his like mojo. And now he's getting it back. Okay, I get that. I can see that. Wednesdays have been there. Okay. So the 5th episode is the current one. Okay. And Di is asking, did you see the unbearable weight of massive talent? Yeah, that was good. I saw that. That was very good. That was very enjoyable. Nick Cage is very enjoyable. I had to look it up. Like, the daughter and the wife are not his real daughter. Like I was hoping it was his real daughter in the movie. That would have been pretty cool, but it's not. It's not. Brian says, but it's about the sacrifices made to stop the dark side. Is it? But the dark side never is defeated. The dark side is never defeated. Throughout 9 movies, the mainline movies, the dark side is never defeated. It's put at bay, but it's never defeated. Like, you think that it's defeated, right? Like, Vader throws the Emperor off in Return of the Jedi into the pit of the Death Star, too, and you think that, okay, the Emperor is dead. Like, there's this whoosh of all this, like, energy of black, dark power energy because we think that the Emperor's been just... But fast forward 3 more movies, and the Emperor's back again. It's like, so the Emperor starts off like, and there's the Emperor of the first movie, right? Attack of the Clones. Is that Attack of the Clones? Whatever the first one was. There he is, Senator Palpatine. There he is. The Dark Sith Lord at the zenith of the Jedi Order. They can't fight. He's in their midst and they can't fight. So the dark side perseveres. I don't know. That's a good question. One has to think maybe if these are the sacrifices made, that they were for naught because they didn't change anything. Like, if you think about it, like all that's happened through the first 6 movies, right? From Palpatine being a senator all the way up until he gets thrown into the Death Star 2. It's a constant power of the dark side. The dark side's always continuing. Like even to show that, like at the very end of the ninth movie, when they're at that base with the red sand, they're like calling out to their people to come and like help them, help us fight the First Order, and everyone's like, no, we're not coming, and they know they're done, they're in trouble. Brian says someone died to save Leia. Yeah, they saved Leia. I mean, people die. Never seen the films. Oh, you haven't seen the films? Okay. Really, even someone of your age, like I see so many people that are young, that are like all like hardcore Star Wars, and I'm like, wow, how is it that you have it that you're this hardcore? But if you do watch them, I think personally you should watch them in the order that they were released, meaning that you watch The New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and then go back to the Attack of the Clones. Is that Attack of the Clones? Whatever the first one was, whatever episode 1, 2, and 3, and then watch 7, 8, 9. I think you should watch them in that order, because that's the way they were presented originally. Because to me, in the original series, when I was young, 1977, Darth Vader was badass. He was a badass. Like, he's this evil guy that's just crushing all people. I'm like, you're like, damn, this guy is terrible, right? But, well, my perspective has changed after I watched the prequels. Not for the better. Bud is messaging me about probes. I'm afraid to look at where the probe is supposed to go. Obi-Wan was still really, yeah. But if you remember in A New Hope, he's not burned in New Hope. He doesn't have scarring, right? Alec Guinness does not have scarring. If you start with episode 1, you'll never make it to episode 4. You know, I mean, I am not disagreeing with you on that, but I must say that it seems that over the years, episode 1, 2, and 3 have become better received by the successive generations than people of our generation. Like those of us who watched, I remember watching, I was like, this is really terrible. Like, this is not the way that we want it to go. And Tony says, you mean that not a whiny little bitch, Anakin Skywalker? I don't want to give that away. That's why I didn't say exactly what it was. The sacrifices have to deceive the scales, so Trump whoops. I mean, Darkseid only gets 49.9% of the votes. I don't know. I think I'm. You know, it's one of those things where we root for the Rebel Alliance. We root for the rebels. I think that's only because we don't see ourselves as the Empire. But really, the rebels are terrorists. Maybe they're freedom fighters, but they're terrorists. The Empire, through Palpatine, has brought the galaxy together to give it safety and security, right, for the common people, supposedly. This ragtag group of like rebels want to destroy that. They want to destroy law and order. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm interested to know. Would you want to be on the side of the Rebel Alliance? See, for me personally, I've always been a Han Solo guy, like a Han Solo fan. Like like Han. He's kind of like that black and white, right? He wears black and white. He's like a mix. He's not good. He's not bad. He's just kind of complex. He doesn't really want to join the fight because he's like, okay, that's the way to get killed. Of course, he's led astray by a woman, as most of us tend to be. No scars because of the Bacta tank. Well, didn't you see that Brian had only seen the 4th episode? There's Bud giving it away. Thank you, Bud. And I finally realized who that Imperial officer is. The one that with the rebels. She's the girl from the Sand. She's the Sand lady. The mother of the Sand sisters from Game of Thrones. It took me a couple episodes and I was like, oh, that's who she is. That's right. Brian says, I disagree. Many Germans fit the mold and could have been part of the empire, but chose to save Jews and the handicapped instead. Fair enough point. I mean, especially because, we're talking about, obviously, it's a show that was, the empire was modeled off of the Nazis. I mean, look at their uniforms. It's very plainly obvious. Joppers, high boots, tight cut tunics. I mean, they're like, but what is it about these evil guys, whether they're the empire or the Nazis? I mean, they're sharply dressed uniforms. Like, they look sharp. Like that Imperial naval officer, the Greys, I think that's pretty tight looking. That's pretty tight. The rebels, poorly dressed. Kirby Allison would not approve. Terrorists typically operate with the consideration of losses of children, civilians, including children, where the Liberal Alliance is always careful not to do that. I see what you're saying. I get that. My only thought on that is that we really don't see a lot of what the Rebel Alliance does. We see a little bit. And obviously the storyline, the narrative of Star Wars is skewed to the point so that we're supposed to know that the Empire is the evil one. And granted, they are. They're the dark side, right? There's Palpatine. But I still can't get over... What I still can't get over is watching the progression of Star Wars. And what really troubles me, what really bothers me is, in the prequels, we're on Coruscant. And the Coruscant is the galactic center, right? We're in the core planets of the galactic empire, of the galaxy. This is where the most connected people are. And we've got the Jedi Order, again, at the zenith of their power. Mace Windu can't even tell until it's too late that Palpatine is the Dark Lord of the Sith. Where's the Force? I don't know. That's like saying the real Karate Kid. I mean, I think that I thought that was kind of crazy when I first heard that theory. But if you think about it, he's, Ralph Macchio's character, Danielson, is the new guy in town. Macking on his girlfriend. Like, yeah, he's going to be pissed off. Again, it's one of those things where he's supposed to be the bad guy, right? Back to tank. Pam must be sitting there. I bet she is. Did Hugo Boss really do the uniforms for Star Wars? It was pretty epic. He did a great job. Just got a lifeline. There we go. The lifeline. There it is. You ever have those friends that are like, you're watching a show or movie with, and they always want to ask the questions. What's going on? What's that about? Why is that happening? That's my little nephew. Every time I watch a show with him, he's always like, What's going on with this? I'm watching at the same time you are. I don't know. We're watching the same thing. It reminds me of my mom. Watching movies with my mom. It's always like, my mom's always asking questions like, what's happening? They're doing that. I don't know. I don't know beyond it. Oh, Hugo Boss did the tailing of the Nazis. Oh, really? Not Star Wars. Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know. I did not know. I didn't know Hugo Boss had been around that long. Someone's always expecting you to be Kreskin. Kreskin? Indira Varma. Ah, yes, yes. She's very nice. I like watching her in shows. I just started watching this other show called Irma Vep. It's a French television show that's starring. It's from HBO, but it's starring Alicia Vikander. Oh, I'm only watching because she's in the show. I'm like, oh, if Alicia Vikander's in a movie or show, I want to watch it. Like, okay, I'll watch it. Kreskin was a low rent mentalist back in the. Ah, okay. So we're still rolling along. We're definitely past the second third. So, and I think it's the same. I can't say that it had changed. So we don't want to be, we won't be penalizing to that. It's still the same consistent quality as the first third. Oh, I have not seen that one. Or you talk about Roma, the Alfonso Cuarón movie. I have not seen that one either. I have been meaning to watch that. I've been watching Star Trek Strange New Worlds. That's been pretty good. I saw the last episode yesterday. Good. Nice to see Pike getting a love interest, kind of like Kirk. Rome on HBO. Oh, I've not seen Rome. I didn't even know it was a show. Okay. We'll have to look it up. There's so many shows out, it's hard to keep up. I'm looking forward to the return of The Handmaid's Tale. I'm interested to see what happens there. And then what else is coming? There's another show coming on the 26th of this month. Now I can't think of what it is. Another show I've been watching is called The Offer. I know I've talked about this before, but it's about the making of The Godfather. The last episode came out today. And so it's the 10th episode. But the 9 that have gone so far have been really, really great. Like, awesome. Like, I'm really enjoying that. I thought that's really well made. 10 years old, really? Oh, okay. All right, I'll check it out. So many. Like, I actually get all these movies, and I can't really have I don't have the time to watch them. Like, Irma Vep was interesting because, like, it's a bit slow. Like, I didn't finish watching it because I was like, oh, okay, I'm getting a little bit tired. It happened with Miss Marvel, too. Like, Miss Marvel, I watched halfway, then I stopped. I came back to it later. Season 4 of Corner Gas on Prime, 6/24. Oh, okay. And, I've not seen Corner Gas. I have to check that. Knowing you, it must be a British series. Oh, yes, absolutely. Bob Evans has been portrayed very well. The actor that does him is really, really, he's really good. Actually, all of them are so good. Even the guy that does Coppola, like, man, that guy's Coppola's did the guy that did Coppola was really good. The guy that plays Ruddy is really good. Like all of them, even what's his Giovanni Ribisi as Columbo. Columbo. Yeah, man, great cast. Like I can't say enough. Canadian. Well, it's a Commonwealth country. There we go. That fits in with the whole thing. Irma Vep is the remake of the Oliver Assasas made about a decade ago. Oh, okay. I read about it, and that's why I looked it up. And I read about it, and I was like, oh. I heard about that. There's a remake, but I was like, oh, Alicia Vikander. I'll watch anything with her in it. Ever since I saw her, since she was at Ex Machina, I was like, whoa, my gosh, that is one. Michael Fassbender was a very happy man. So it's still rolling. I'm not doing too bad. It's got a lot of, it does have complexity to it, but it just doesn't feel like, it feels like a long smoke, right? Like it's a long smoke. Like which makes me wonder, like, if we had a Revenge that was 7 inches, would I feel similar as I do now? Like, it's a little bit tiring to smoke. But there is a lot of smoke. This is a big cigar. Like, even though the exhaust system is running here in the studio, it's pretty hazy in here now. That's one thing I've been thinking about for the 100th live streams, that I do have a fan system in here, an exhaust system that runs at 400, maximum 400 feet per minute, right? I do have a bigger exhaust fan that really pulls a lot of the smoke, but it's just super loud. Like it's too loud for the show. So George says, I think your cigar's Canadian. Cool. I wonder what the prices are in Canada now, because like Canadian cigars, Canadian Cubans have always been pricier. Like in the 90s, I remember the Monte Cristo #2 was $22 US. And I imagine that now with the increases, and I don't know if it really happened there or not, but imagine with the increases that it must be quite pricey in Canada. Where I hear it's really pricey is in Australia. And I hear they're pretty strict about it too. Like, I'm supposed to go to Australia in September. And I was thinking, oh, I should bring my cigars with me. But like, I have to look into that because there might be some kind of limitation. And then evidently the taxes are very heavy. Canadian prices will now look more normal since prices pinned to Hong Kong. Yeah, they're pricey in Asia. Like the place that I go to in Manila, their prices are pretty pricey, I think. Actually, it's one of those things where, I'll go to this place and I'll buy a cigar. Typically, I'll buy one or two. And I don't recall it being, oh my gosh, kind of pricey, right? But it's definitely pricey there. I think Hong Kong's always had, the Pacific cigar in Hong Kong has always been quite pricey. Like when we go to Le Connoisseur Tokyo, that gets to be. Luckily, the times that I've gone, my friend, she usually pays. Thank you, Moo. I appreciate that. You know, one of the interesting things, like a lot of places where I go in the world, you know, my friends are always like very generous, and they're always like, "Oh, we'll take care of it," which is really, really nice. But one day, there's going to be a reckoning, meaning that one day they'll come here to America, and of course, I will take care of them. So I will reciprocate. But one of the interesting things, because we live in Baltimore, nobody wants to come to Baltimore, so nobody comes here. So I'm like, well, hardly anyone visits. Like when they come to America, they want to go to LA, they want to go to Chicago, they want to go to New York, they want to go to Disneyland. People don't really think, I'm going to go to the Baltimore's Inner Harbor. Yeah, I do think that the Robusto is probably the way to go with this one. Like this Gran Toro is quite a long cigar. There was that one cigar we had a couple weeks ago, the CA Nicaragua, the Granada. Like I said, that one's this cigar where it's relatively calm and mild and like not terribly challenging. It doesn't require you to pay attention to it. So it's a good one as a companion cigar to do something with. Watch a movie, cut the grass, things like that. This one is kind of like that, but with a lot more weight to it, right? It's definitely more complex. It's definitely a lot more oomph to it. And this particular one, the Gran Toro, is one, if you want to watch The Godfather, this could be the one that you just smoke with it. $41 tax per kilo. Oh, yeah. It's pricey. It's expensive. Oh, and George's got to take off. Thanks, George, coming in. See you soon. Dice says you can thank the wire for that. That's true. That's true. Like when I travel around the world and people say, where do you live? I said, I'm from Baltimore. Most of the time, wherever I am, somebody, when I say them from Baltimore, like, oh, the wire. Yeah, that's us. That's us. But I wonder why people think they see the wire and then they presume that Baltimore's all like that. Now they can also watch We Own This City and they'll think the same. But you don't go to New York and you don't watch The Godfather and think, oh my gosh, New York is filled with gangsters. It could be, but you don't normally think that way. Yeah, it's getting pretty thick. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit this big fan and see what it does. So now that I've turned on the fan, I'm interested to know, how does it sound in here? Like, how much more noise is that introducing? But said, because it is. Yeah, but the reality is that, like, I was talking to someone recently, and I was like, I'm heading off to Sao Paulo. And he said, it was a guy from YouTube. He's one of the video creators. He's like, sent me a message like, hey man, be careful when you're there, but it's pretty rough. And I think it's kind of one of those things where it's like Baltimore, right? Like you see Baltimore, you're like, oh, it's pretty rough. But it's also like, like for example, us here that we know, friends of our group of friends here, like we all live in Baltimore. We go to certain areas, and we don't really run into that kind of problem because there's certain parts of the city that are safe. And so as I was looking up Sao Paulo and where we're staying and all this, it's like that too. Like it's the safer area, so less to worry about, I think. Oh, okay, good, good. I'm glad that you see that. I just sound more echoey. All right. I wonder if I close the door. All right, so it's not too bad. I'm gonna turn off the main fan now. Ah, that made it a little bit nicer. You seen Hawaii 5 and Magnum? Hawaii, yeah, that's the thing that I remember from. Like Magnum wasn't as dramatic, I don't think, but Hawaii 5 definitely was very dramatic in that. You know, if you watch Hawaii 5, you'd think that there were people rocking and rolling with machine guns every day. Like there's so much crime that happens, and like I think even to this day in Honolulu, it's like someone gets killed, murdered. That would be like big news because it almost never happened. Like when I lived there, that never happened. So it's interesting. But it says very small parts of Baltimore City that are safe. Yeah, I think there's a good section of the city of those pretty safe. Like I remember when we were having the riots, because especially since our roastery at the time was in a pretty was basically in Proposition Joe territory. And actually, if you watch in the first episode of We Own This City, a number of the scenes that they shot where the takedowns occurred were almost literally right around the corner from where our roastery used to be. So during the riots, I was listening to the scanners, and you could hear where all the calls were being made and where all the rioting was happening. And they really kind of kept it contained. I mean, it spanned a lot of the city, but there were those enclaves, those like slivers of territory where the police held the line. I was wondering about that too. I don't want to take that chance, but they do. We do have these trunk lines that theoretically should pull. I don't know if it will or not, but maybe we'll try that a little bit more. But if it overheated the fan, and that's kind of a pain in the butt to deal with. Coffee's doing well. I'm enjoying it. Ooh. So it's smoking. It's got good body. It just doesn't have a lot of complexity. How are you guys cigars doing? I'm getting down towards the end of it. Oh, another show that I've been watching that I just started watching again because it started up again is that Apple show called For All Mankind about the space race, and now we're trying to go to Mars. And it's interesting to watch this show because, like, the show's taking place now in the 90s. And when you see the technology that they're having in the show that's supposed to be the 90s, it's like there's a lot of LCD flat screens. Like, in some ways, the tech jumped like 10 years sooner. Right, when do I fly? I fly out on Monday. So I fly the evening flight to Chicago. And then I'm in Chicago for about an hour and then take the overnight flight to Sao Paulo. So it's about a 10-hour flight from Chicago to Sao Paulo. And I was looking at the seat map, and United sent me a message. They were like, would you like to upgrade to business? So I looked at the seat map, and there's a bunch of business class seats that are available. And it's the newer version of what they call Polaris, which is the new version of United's first business class, which I have not flown in yet. So I'm curious. I mean, I went to a Polaris mock-up event when first announced it at Dulles several years ago, and the seats themselves are nice. They're probably about the same as Thai Airways business class from like 5, 6, 7 years ago. So they're not the most advanced, but they're nicer, and you also get this special lounge that you get to use called the Polaris Lounge in Chicago. So I'd be interested to check that out. The thing is that on the seat map, not only were there open seats in business, but there was wide open seats in the Economy Plus cabin. So I'm kind of in this position where it's like, if I can get a whole row of 3 seats to myself, I'm usually very happy to fly that because I can lie down, relax, chill. It's not the most comfortable. Like, it's not flying. It's not like lying down in a business class seat where you can like really lie down, but it's pretty decent. And they always charge you a lot. Like, typically United will charge you $600 plus 60,000 miles, which I think is a lot. And when I first started flying again in like 15 years ago, I made status then, and I remember they used to give us free upgrades to business. So I kind of missed that. So I don't know. And then I'll fly back on the 27th. So I'll be back on the 28th. On the way back, we fly back to Chicago again. And I've got a relatively long layover. So I was trying to figure out what to do in Chicago. Like, it's just long enough that I could leave the airport. Like, typically it's 4 hours or less. I won't normally leave. But if it's longer than that, then I'm open to that. So I was thinking, like, there's this new restaurant there's a restaurant in Chicago that just got a Michelin star. It's a Filipino restaurant, first Filipino restaurant in the world that ever received a Michelin star. And it's in Chicago. And I said, I wonder if I can check that out. So I looked it up, and turns out they're open breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I was thinking, like, I think we get in like 7 a.m. So I could go there for 9 a.m. breakfast. And then I was thinking maybe I'll go look for for lunch, I'll look for a pizza joint, right? The deep dish pizza. Like I've had Lou Malnati's. I was thinking maybe I'll look for another one and try that. And then a friend of mine posted about this chicken place. I was thinking, should I get fried chicken? So I'm still trying to figure that out. Which one do we go? Brian says, intemperance is fine, but not a complexity. But what it does have, I like. Are we talking about the intemperance BA or the intemperance EC? I like the BAs over the EC. The ECs are a little bit more milder. And Brian says he thought that too about For All Mankind. We spend our money on space race versus ground, air, water type military. Yeah, I think that's a really interesting show, For All Mankind. Like the first episode, they went up to they now have space tourism, and they create artificial gravity by spinning, kind of like that the starship they had in The Martian. So that there's a ring that spins that creates gravity on the outer hull. And in the last episode, the first episode of from For All Mankind, it's a hotel, and one of the space debris hits one of the thrusters, and it activates the thruster, and then like all chaos breaks loose, and like almost everyone gets killed. It would have been interesting to get them killed. Now Brian spoke of the BA. Oh, the BA. You know, I really like that. Is one the Revenge is the BA, so I really like that. I wonder though, but I do wonder, like if the BA with the Revenge was longer, I wonder how I would respond to it. Maybe I can connive them to make me a long one, like a 7-inch one. Whenever we go back to visit Esteli. Which is maybe something we should think about for next year. In the spring, late winter, early spring. Maybe I'll do a trip down to Esteli, visit some factories. What do you think about that? All right. I'm going to give it the same score, 7, 5, and 8 for the body. Burn and draw, 8. Consistency, 8. Overall, though, I think 7, 5 for overall. All right, let's see how we're doing here. Let's calculate this up. We have 77.5. Let's see how that is for our let me pull up the ranking here. All right, let's see here. 775 for the all right, here it is. Gran Habano. So kind of on the lower half of our rankings. Not too bad, not too bad. Pretty good showing. Whew. All right, I think that's good. That's good for us now. So let's hit it. All right, so that's it for this week. Thank you very much for tuning in. As you know, next week we'll be broadcasting live again on Thursday at 8 p.m. That's the goal. Next week, we're going to be out in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And that should be quite an interesting time. So next week, we're going to have next week, I'm not sure what we're going to have. Because we're going to have, and once I find a cigar lounge, we'll get something from that lounge and support them. And then, of course, after that will be the 100th episode on July 2nd. So don't forget, if you're in the area, you want to come down, or if you're not in the area, you want to come down, come on down. We're going to be here all day on July 2nd with the live stream starting at 6 p.m. So, yeah, come and join us. Be a good time. And then after that, on July 7th, we'll have the Warp Nicotina. And then the weekend after, we're going to do the Southern Draw Jacob's Ladder Lancero. So that's what's coming up in the next couple weeks. So come down and join us, and love to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you being here as always. Looks like Brian can do early spring. Excellent. That's what we want to see. All right, so I guess that's going to be it for us. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time.